Every great story starts with fire. Kia ora and welcome to Low and Slow Aotearoa, the podcast where fire meets flavour, stories rise with the smoke, and we celebrate the slow, smoky side of New Zealand life. I'm Ruben. Grab a seat by the pit. You're in good company here. Hey, kia ora. You came back. Welcome to episode 2. Let's get into it, eh? Tomorrow I'm going to be smoking up 2 whole briskets. 3.5 kgs. One for the in-laws for Christmas lunch, and one for the neighbours because they requested it. And this has actually become a tradition ever since I really mastered the brisket. Is every Christmas the in-laws ask me to smoke up a brisket. Well, actually they don't ask me anymore, I just do it. It's just become one of those things like, oh yeah, Christmas lunch, Ruben will do a brisket. And it's things like that that brings family together. And that has brought my passion and has made me want to do it more. Yeah, it's something I have to do every year, but it's something that I look forward to because I know every year it gets better. I get better. And hopefully my family thinks it's better. What I want to talk to you about today is the 3 fundamentals of low and slow barbecue. Meat, wood, and time. Got all 3 of those, you're sorted. Now I'm going to start with the wood because I feel that's the most important part. That's what gives meat its flavour. So we're going to start from the beginning. A few basics that I've learnt to help guide you on your barbecue journey. Now, choosing the right wood for your meat and getting clean smoke is key. It's freaking key, man. Now, the basic thing is dark meat, so your beef, your lamb, nut wood. And for white meat, so chicken and pork, fruit wood's best. But obviously we don't have a lot of nut wood. It's not really like, oh yeah, there's a macadamia tree, chop that down, oh yeah, there's some wood. But that's the basics, really. For me, for my brisket, I use black wattle. And that was recommended to me by my wood supplier down in Wiri. And he's a master, man. He knows, you tell him what you're cooking, and he'll tell you exactly what kind of wood to use. He's freaking, oh man, he's awesome. He's awesome to talk to as well, it's great. Or really, if you are never really sure on what wood to use, oak. That's the neutral one. You can use European wood, New Zealand oak. You can get all kinds of different oak from different places. Doesn't really matter. But oak, in general, is a neutral. You use that, you can't stuff it up. It's real easy, real simple. Now, it's always good to research local woods because it's always good to use what we have, like mānuka or tea tree. That's a good one. That's kind of like oak as well, and that's pretty easy to get your hands on. There's mānuka all around. Trees are always falling down. You can check on Facebook Marketplace. People chop down a tree and they say, oh, I've chopped down a tree, come get it. You might have to chop it up yourself, but or sometimes they chop it up. They've got it ready to go. So honestly, Facebook Marketplace, trade me. People sell wood on there all the time. Just make sure you're getting the right wood and ask them things like, is it seasoned? And that basically means, has it been dried out? So wood needs to be dried for like a year. Air dried anyway. Some people do it in a kiln. One of those like pizza ovens kind of thing. And that could be, I'm not actually too sure how long that takes to dry in that, but usually just air dried. Pōhutukawa, that is usable, even though it is a native tree and endangered tree or whatever. If somebody's selling it on Facebook Marketplace or whatever, I'm not too sure of the legal ramifications of such a thing. So if someone's selling Pōhutukawa wood and it's like a legitimate person, like I've seen it for sale at the warehouse. So I'm like, oh well, yeah, if they're selling it, must be all good. My guy that I get wood from, yeah, he sells some pōhutukawa as well. You can't just go down and chop down a tree, a pōhutukawa tree that's endangered, it's native. you're getting deep shit for that. So just be careful. But pōhutukawa is a really strong smoke. So it's kind of like mesquite that they use in the States. I wouldn't use too much of it because it is pretty damn strong. And you don't want to overpower your meat with the smoke. Or you can do what some people do, which is really cool, is mix pōhutukawa and oak or tea tree. If you have a mild flavoured, a mild wood that gives not such harsh smoke. Say I'm smoking my brisket and I use oak wood this time. Every now and then, I'll mainly use oak, but every now and then I'll put a couple of logs of pōhutukawa on there. So you mix the two different woods and you get a different flavour profile. So it's still got the mildness of the oak if you use just that. But then every now and then, chuck a few logs of pōhutukawa on there throughout the smoke. And then you get best of both worlds. It's freaking awesome. Now, a lot of people think that the seasoning of the meat is what gives it its flavour. Yeah, of course it does. But the wood is what is the seasoning for the meat, because the smoke is what you're going to taste the most of. So you got to make sure you got the right wood for the right cut of meat. Now, when the wood catches fire, that's the clean, light blue smoke that you'll see. So when you get your fire going, you'll see up the top, once you've lit your fire and stuff, and everything's closed, your flue will be open, and you'll see the chimney. If you see just lightly, a little bit of smoke, like thin, light blue smoke, that's clean. That's what you want. And the way to get that is to make sure the wood is actually on fire. You don't just put it on like in the fireplace or whatever. So you make sure that the wood is warm. So what I do is when I'm smoking, I'll get it going, get the coals going, and then I'll shut the firebox. I'll put a couple of logs of wood on top of my firebox, which is flat, and that'll heat it up. It'll heat the wood, warm it up to be able to catch fire better. So once it's warmed up, cool, open the firebox, put the logs on, boom, catches fire almost instantly. If it doesn't, and it needs a little boost, I've got a little leaf blower that I use just to give it some air, give it some oxygen, because oxygen for fire is good. It's not like when you're blowing out the candles, not like that. But I use that just to catch it fire a bit more. I let it burn. Oh, yeah. Check the wood. Yeah, it's burning pretty good. Cool. I can shut that lid of the firebox, and I look up at the chimney. Boom. Perfect light blue smoke, which is what you want. But when the wood isn't burning, then you get the dirty smoke, and that's not what you want, because that's really bitter, and I've done that. Freaking, I did that once. I didn't know about the clean and dirty smoke. I had no idea, and I just put the wood on, walked away, looked up at the chimney. Oh hell, that's doing some good smoke. Yep, heaps of smoke coming out the chimney. Turns out it was not good. It was like the worst freaking thing. It just tastes real bitter. It's not good at all. I can't even describe it. But it was trash. I can't remember if I ate that. I think it was pork. I think I did a pork butt. Yeah, no, I don't think I actually ate that. I tried to, because I didn't want to waste it. But I didn't end up eating it. For bugger that. Not worth it. But it's what it is. Now we come to the meat. The best part. The main part. Picking the best cuts and actually preparing them well. Now you can just go to Pack and Save and get a cut of meat there. I've gotten ribs from there before. I've smoked them. It's still good. No matter where you get it from, it's probably going to be good. But if you get a good supplier, I go down to Drury Meats in Drury, obviously. They do the best cuts, man. They cut them well. I don't have to do much at all. It's already shaped my briskets that I got. Oh man, they're so good. I do trim the fat off them a bit, and a bit of the skin that's still on there. But that's mainly for rendering down. So when I do my brisket, and I do all the trimming, trim all the fat off, and I put that fat into a little cast iron pot, and then I put it on the smoker probably about 4 or 5 hours before the meat actually comes off the smoker, and then I pour that over the top of the brisket before I wrap it, and then I pour a little bit on the paper as well. That's one of the key things that I do that I've learnt. I think it was actually, it was my father-in-law that told me that. He's the one that told me to do that. So there you go, I learnt from him. So yeah, I like to do that. That gives it more flavour, and the fat that gets rendered down is also smoked. So it's liquidy fat and keeps it moist and freaking delicious. Now, not all meat is the same. Some are leaner than others. Some have a lot more fat than others that you've got to trim off. Ribs, for example, very lean, have basically no fat. So spritzing or basting is a really good idea. Spritzing is just having a little spray bottle and you mix in water or apple cider vinegar with apple juice. Apple juice is really good for pork when you're spritzing. Pork loves sweetness. The sweetness really cuts down on the saltiness of the pork. What I usually use for anything really is apple cider vinegar and water. And then depending if I'm feeling a bit adventurous or want to change it up, a bit of apple juice. I've heard some people use Dr. Pepper or cola. Same thing. It's sweetness. It's sugar. Wait, did I try? Yeah, no, I've tried Dr. Pepper. I tried Dr. Pepper once. Oh, yeah. That was actually pretty good. It doesn't taste, you don't taste the Dr. Pepper on the meat or anything like that. It just gives it a bit of sweetness and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Pretty nice. Different to try. Try different things as well. Different cook times and different methods for different meat. Chicken, you just chuck that on there. Do a brine. Brining is when you just put the whole chicken in salt water for a couple of hours. Some people do it overnight. You can flavour it with different spices and fruit and all that kind of stuff. But brining the chicken to keep it from going dry, doing a spritz won't help. You got to brine it. I've done that once again as well. I failed. I just chucked a whole chicken on there. Same thing, dry as, because there was no fat to be rendered down. And then my neighbour, who used to work for a chicken restaurant, he told me, you got to do a brine. So you got to soak it in a brine. And I did that. Oh my gosh. You know what brined chicken is like smoked? The texture is almost like it's not cooked. You can see it's fully cooked. It's fully clear juices. You can see the white meat, but it's so tender. I was surprised, and then I gave him a sample. I always give my neighbours samples. Whenever I smoke anything, I go over to my neighbours and say, hey, I've smoked something up. Mainly because I wanted their input, and they're like my official taste testers. And so I did the chicken, gave it over to him, and he said, no, this is really good. This is good. How long did you brine it for? And I said, I think I only did it like 2-3 hours. He said, no, that's good. So everything. Sometimes you got to cook things for how I cook my brisket from start to finish, 23-24 hours. Then you get ribs. You could do them in like an afternoon, like 5 to 7 hours even. So, 5 to 8 hours. Yeah, I do it about 5 to 8 hours. So it's all part of the experience and learning which is which. Hell, I still have to look it up. I don't have all this stuff hidden away in my head yet. Still learning, still banking all this information. The more you do cooks, the more you do these particular recipes, the more it's going to be ingrained in your brain. So you can lock them up tight, and then if somebody asks you, hey, how do I do this? How do I cook this? People ask me, I've had workmates ask me, how do you cook your brisket? I've done it so many times, and I've read my recipe over and over and perfected it, that it's ingrained in my head. I know exactly what temp, I know exactly what time to pull it out, I figure all that kind of thing out as well. And that's another thing that leads on, is trying to remember when you need to serve something. So if I need to serve, I need to have it done by 12, let's say, 12 o'clock for lunch. I'll have to start cooking, I have to have the meat on, the brisket, on at about 1 p.m. the day before, So that gives it enough time to smoke, cook, rest in the chili bin, and rest outside the chili bin just unwrapped, which lets the bark set. And once the bark's set, because if you just start cutting into it, unwrap it and start cutting into it, it's going to be, the bark is just going to fall off. All that seasoning, everything you've worked for, I've had that happen as well. I was just too excited, just wanted to cut into it, and all the seasoning just fell off. Bit of a disappointment there, but I learnt to slow down and just take your time. Because I wanted to cut into it. I wanted to cut right down the middle. I wanted to see the smoke ring that I created. But if that ruins everything you've worked towards, what's the point? Give yourself enough time beforehand. Give yourself enough time after. Because sometimes I'm like, I'll start heating up the coals at 12 p.m. But that's like the latest to do it. But I'll try and do it like 11:30, so that if I'm still trimming up my meat or whatever, at least I've made extra time. Same with having it in the cooler after I've wrapped it in the towel. I can leave it sitting in there for like 4 hours. Believe me, it will still be hot. I've left one in there for 4 hours before, and it came out just steaming. Understanding patience, temperature, time, fire management is the last thing you need to learn. Patience is always hard to come by for me. I can't wait. I just want to eat it. And the same with anyone, really. Fire management for offsets or barrel smoker or anything else like that is still key as well. Keeping the temperature right. Too high or too low, it's not good. You've got to have that little sweet spot. But don't be disheartened if it does drop. So I whack my brisket on at about 300 Fahrenheit. If it drops down to 280, it's not the worst thing in the world. It ain't gonna die. Just bring it back up. If it stays at 280 for too long, like 20, 30 minutes, that can kind of affect it. But brisket's really forgiving. So if it drops a bit, bugger. Chuck some more logs on, bump it back up to 300. Oh, goes over to 320. It's still alright. It'll just close the flue a bit. She's good. But like I said in episode 1, doing a dry run with no meat gets to know your smoker a bit more. How it functions, how the vents change the temperature. So you got the flue at the chimney, that changes the temperature as well. The opening at the firebox, that'll change how the fire works. How much oxygen it gets and how well it can continue to burn. But one thing that I've really learned from smoking is patience. Low and slow smoking is 80% patience. And you may not have it in the beginning. I sure as hell didn't. But I learnt it. I learnt good things come to those who wait. A little pro tip though, that I'm going to leave you with, is to have a notebook and record how your cook went. Honestly, saved me so many times. It's another trick my father-in-law taught me. Record everything. So you record what meat you're doing, the weight of it, the seasoning that you used, what fuel you used, and when you added it, like charcoal, wood, or pellets. When temperature changes, is it windy, is it rainy, when you spritz it, just things like that. So this way, you can go back, see where you may have slipped up, and correct it. Because you're smoking something for hours and hours at a time, average probably about 10 hours, you forget what you did 3-4 hours ago. Note it down. I've got a book here actually. My wife got this for me, I think it was for Christmas a little while ago, maybe my birthday. And it tells you everything. So it's all gridded up, lined up, and tells you your meat, notes, and then it's all got these grid lines, and then what time was the smoker temp, what time was this, what time was that, was there any variables, windy, rainy, and then you can go back and realize, that's where I messed up. So that's the 3 keys to low and slow cooking. Hopefully it helps you like it would have helped me in the beginning when I started smoking. think we'll just leave it there for today, eh? Thanks for listening, really appreciate it. Hope you've learned something. Follow me here at Spotify and also on Insta at Low and Slow Podcast. Cheers.